Hi, I wanted to make a short video for my Quantitative Reasoning Math 123 class. This is a very short explanation of some of the Section 12 material about retirement accounts. So we mostly focus on 401ks, but this would be true of any multi-deposit account. So to figure out information about the values in these retirement accounts, we need some information. Now, we're going to suspend reality quite a bit when we think about these values just to keep things simple and give us some numbers to work with. So we still say that we have an APR, like an annual percentage rate, but of course that's not really true. The money in your 401k or money market account is going to be invested probably in some stock market type situations. And that rate of return, that's going to vary based on the stock market. So when we think about these problems and we say you have a 5% APR, what we really mean is we hope that we average 5% over the time we have that investment, and that estimate will be good enough to get us some values. A number we will need is how long are you going to make the investment? So how many years are you going to invest in the account, and how many times per year are you going to put the money into that account? Speaking of putting money in the account, we also need to know how much is each deposit. So those are the three inputs that we'll be interested in. In our course, we use Excel to figure out the balance on our account. So if I take those three inputs and put them into the Excel function FV, which stands for future value, it will give us an output, which is the end balance of the account. Okay, pretty simple, pretty straightforward. Once we have all those values together, we'll use our quantitative reasoning to answer some questions. So one question we might ask is, how much was invested? Now be careful. How much was invested? That is different than the balance of the account that I just talked about. So we'll use FV to spit out the balance on the account. That's not the same as the amount of money that got put in, hopefully, right? You hoped to earn some extra money on the investment. That's why you invested. So how do I figure out the total investment? Super easy. I'm just going to take the amount of each deposit times the number of deposits that I made. That should give me the total amount invested. The difference between how much is in the account at the end of all these years of investment versus how much we put into the account, that's our profit. I called it interest here. We call it interest in the book. Again, maybe that's not technically correct because it's an investment. It's not necessarily interest. You could also think of that as the profit that you get off of the account. All right, let's look at a quick example of how I would do this in Excel. Just make my screen so I can have it all in one place here, maybe. I know, it's tiny. Let's see. Let's say instead of thinking about, a lot of our book examples are like, Johnny invests $100 for 40 years. Let's shrink that down to something like, let's say I want to go to the Virgin Islands, which if you haven't been, I highly recommend it. And it's expensive though. I want to start a savings account so that I can go back. I'm going to put my money not in a savings account, but in a money market account. So it has a little higher rate of return. And I'm going to put in $50 per month. So that's going to be my deposit each month. That's not very much money. And let's say I get a really, really great rate of return, because right now, honestly, even on a money market account, you're going to get a fraction of a percent, but somehow I get an incredible opportunity. I'm getting a 3% rate of return. And by the way, that's an APR, at an annual rate of return. And gosh, I want to get back there as soon as I can. Let's say 3 years. All right. What would the balance on my account be after 3 years of investment? Probably not very much. I'm going to use the FV function. It's very similar to the PV function, so don't get them mixed up. FV stands for future value, what will be in the end after 3 years. I also remember F kind of goes with 401k, so F and 401 go together in my mind. My first input will be that rate. and you can type 3% or 0.03. I want to make everything monthly. If that's an APR, I want to divide that by 12. Number of periods, I'm going to do 3 years, but my number of periods will be 3 times 12, 12 months per year for 3 years. And finally, I'm going to input the deposit. And we recommend you put this in as a negative so that the answer shows as a positive. But if you're like me and you forget the negative sign, it's no big deal. It is a big deal if you put a dollar sign, though, because that has special meaning in Excel. So no dollar signs in your input. And there's 2 optional inputs that we don't worry about. So what's my balance after 3 years of investment? I have $1,881.03 saved. So maybe enough for the plane ticket to go to the Virgin Islands and maybe not much else. Right, that is the balance on my account. And let me just put on the screen here. There again, there's what I typed to get it in the middle. That's the balance on my account. That's different. That's different than the total invested. How much did I actually put in? I put $50 every month for 3 years. I only put in $1,800. So the difference, you can probably do it without calculating it. The difference is about $81. So hey, that's free $81 that I get. So that's not a bad deal. Now, if you spread that out over a lot more years, because of exponential growth and kind of compounding interest on interest, you're going to get more money. So you want to start investing sooner rather than later. All right, so I hope this clears up a little bit about how to use the FV function. Once again, there's lots of details in our problems. For instance, I put in $50. Maybe I would have had a match from someone to put in another 25 for me, things like that you might have to watch out for. But this should get you started with the very basics. If you have additional questions, we have more videos to go along with the examples in our book. I hope this helps.